After 65, just do nothing, and it will save your life. Reaching 65 is a milestone, one that many of us look forward to as the start of the golden years. It's the time we've imagined for decades, a chance to relax, step back from the pressures of work, and finally enjoy the freedom we've worked so hard to achieve. For many, it means retirement, a world where we're no longer bound by schedules, lines, or responsibilities. But as freeing as retirement may sound, it often comes with a surprising sense of restlessness, disconnection, and even confusion about what to do next. You might think, I've earned this. This should be the easy part. But for many of us, it doesn't quite feel that way. Instead of waking up with a sense of purpose, we sometimes feel lost. The days, once packed with meetings, family obligations, and projects, now stretch out in front of us with no clear direction. And that, for many, can be disorienting. If you felt this way, you're not alone. You may have spent hours trying to fill the time, flipping through TV channels, scrolling endlessly through your phone, starting projects you never finish, or even feeling like you're just floating through the day. Perhaps you've thought, is this really what life after 65 is supposed to feel like? I know that feeling. I've been there. And if you're feeling disconnected or unsure of how to move forward in this new chapter, I want to share something that completely transformed my life after 65. It might sound simple, and it might even sound counterintuitive, but trust me, just do nothing. Yes, nothing. Sometimes the most important thing you can do for yourself is to stop, sit in stillness, and allow yourself to simply be. Doing nothing may seem like the opposite of what we're taught, but it can actually be the key to finding peace, reconnecting with yourself, and rediscovering the joy in life. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. The unexpected disconnection of retirement. Most of us spend the better part of our lives in go mode, constantly moving, doing, achieving. For decades, our lives are defined by work, responsibilities, family, and obligations. We wake up with a list of things to do and go to bed with thoughts of what still needs to be done. We measure our success by how productive we are, how much we accomplish, and how well we take care of those around us. So when we finally reach 65, when the busyness stops and the demands fall away, we expect to feel relief. But for many, retirement brings something unexpected, a sense of disconnection. Without the structure of a job or the daily responsibilities that once consumed us, we can feel like we're floating aimlessly through time. The days, which were once busy and filled, now feel long and empty. Sure, we have more time, but what do we do with it? What happens when the retirement we've dreamed of doesn't match the reality we're living? Part of the challenge comes from the sudden absence of structure. After years of following a routine, we find ourselves with endless free time, but no clear direction. In an attempt to fill the void, we often turn to distractions, watching hours of television, scrolling through social media, or finding ways to keep busy. But the more we distract ourselves, the more disconnected we feel. The truth is, no amount of external entertainment or busyness can fill the internal sense of loss that comes with stepping away from a lifetime of purpose-driven activity. I experienced this firsthand after retiring. I thought I would relish the freedom of having no schedule. I imagined I'd fill my days with things I enjoyed, hobbies, spending time with family, maybe traveling. But as the days stretched on, I found myself stuck in a cycle of mindless distractions. I'd spend hours flipping through TV channels, browsing the internet, or scrolling through my phone. The more I distracted myself, the more restless I became. Nothing seemed to satisfy that lingering sense of emptiness. And then something unexpected happened. One day, I turned off the TV, put down my phone, and just sat in the quiet. No distractions, no noise, just me sitting still. At first, it felt strange. My mind raced with thoughts about what I should be doing, but I stayed with it. I allowed myself to sit in the discomfort of doing nothing. And after a few minutes, something surprising happened. My mind began to settle, and I felt a sense of peace that I hadn't experienced in a long, long time. The power of doing nothing. At first glance, the idea of doing nothing might seem counterintuitive. We've spent the majority of our lives working, taking care of others, and constantly being on the go. The notion of sitting still without an agenda feels almost foreign, especially after decades of living in a world that values productivity and action above all else. But the truth is, after 65, the most powerful thing you can do for yourself may very well be to do nothing. When I first retired, I was surprised by the restlessness that set in. With no meetings to attend, no urgent deadlines to meet, and no children to care for, I thought I would relish the newfound freedom. But instead of feeling relaxed, I felt uneasy. I would wake up, have my breakfast, and then wander around the house, wondering what to do with myself. I tried filling the time with distractions, television, news, scrolling through my phone. But no matter what I did, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. One day, after yet another morning spent mindlessly flipping through channels, I decided to try something different. I turned off the TV, set aside my phone, and just sat there in the quiet. No distractions, no background noise, just me, alone with my thoughts. At first, it felt uncomfortable. My mind was racing with 1,000 thoughts. Shouldn't I be doing something? Am I wasting time? I felt the pull of habit, urging me to get up and find something to occupy my mind. But I resisted. I stayed with the discomfort, sitting in silence. As the minutes passed, something began to shift. The noise in my mind started to quiet. I noticed the gentle sound of the wind outside, the warmth of the sun on my face, and the stillness of the room around me. In that moment of doing nothing, I found a sense of peace that had eluded me for months. The restlessness faded, replaced by a feeling of calm and clarity. It was as if my mind had been given a chance to breathe after years of constant stimulation. The power of doing nothing lies in its simplicity. When we stop trying to fill every moment with activity, we create space for our minds to settle. We give ourselves permission to step away from the distractions and busyness that often cloud our thoughts. In that stillness, we reconnect with ourselves in a way that is both grounding and restorative. For so many of us, the thought of doing nothing feels unproductive, like we're wasting time. But in reality, stillness is one of the most valuable things we can offer ourselves, especially after a lifetime of work and obligations. It allows us to break free from the cycle of constant stimulation and reset our minds. It's not about being lazy or disengaged. It's about being intentional with how we spend our time and energy. When I embraced the practice of doing nothing, I noticed profound changes in my daily life. Tasks that had once felt overwhelming, organizing the house, making calls to friends, or even tackling long-neglected projects, now seemed more approachable. Without the mental clutter of distractions, I found myself motivated to take action. But the action didn't come from a place of stress or obligation. It came from a place of clarity and calm. Doing nothing also helped me rediscover the small, simple joys that I had overlooked for so long. I began to appreciate the beauty of a quiet morning, the pleasure of sitting in the garden, or the satisfaction of finishing a good book. These moments, which I had once taken for granted, became the highlights of my day. By allowing myself to stop and be present, I reconnected with the things that truly brought me joy. The power of doing nothing isn't about retreating from life. It's about re-engaging with it in a more mindful and meaningful way. In stillness, we give ourselves the gift of presence. We allow our minds to rest, our thoughts to settle, and our hearts to open to the experiences that matter most. And as we embrace this practice, we begin to see that life doesn't have to be filled with noise and activity to be fulfilling. Sometimes the most profound moments of peace and purpose come when we simply allow ourselves to be. Reevaluating what really matters. As I continued to practice moments of stillness, I began to reevaluate what truly mattered to me. In the busyness of life, it's easy to lose sight of the things that bring us real joy and fulfillment. We get caught up in the hustle, the obligations, the pressures of daily life, and we forget to ask ourselves, what do I really want? What makes me feel alive? For years, I had been telling myself that I would spend my retirement doing the things I loved: gardening, reading, spending time with family, traveling. But in reality, I had spent more time distracting myself than engaging with the things that truly mattered. I was watching TV, not because I enjoyed it, but because it was easy. I was browsing social media, not because I cared about what I was seeing, but because it kept my mind occupied. In those moments of stillness, I started to reconnect with my true passions. I remembered how much I loved spending time outdoors, tending to my garden. I rediscovered the joy of reading, of losing myself in a good book for hours on end. I began reaching out to friends and family, not out of obligation, but out of a genuine desire to connect. And slowly but surely, my days started to feel more fulfilling. One of the most powerful lessons I learned was that doing nothing didn't mean being passive or disengaged. It meant being intentional. By creating space for stillness, I was able to approach my days with more clarity and purpose. Instead of filling my time with distractions, I began to fill it with the things that truly mattered to me. And as I did, I found myself feeling more connected, more alive, and more at peace than I had in years. So if you're feeling lost or disconnected after 65, if you're struggling to find your footing in this new chapter of life, I encourage you to try doing nothing. Just sit in stillness, even if it's only for a few minutes a day. Allow yourself to be present, to breathe, to let go of the distractions that fill your time. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but stick with it. In that stillness, you'll begin to find the clarity and peace that you've been searching for. And as you do, you'll start to rediscover the things that bring you joy, the things that truly make life worth living. Thank you for watching this video. If you found this message helpful, please like and share it with others who might benefit. And remember, after 65, the best thing you can do for yourself is to take a step back, sit in stillness, and just do nothing. You may be surprised at the peace and purpose that follows. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What are some of the things you've struggled with after 65? Have you found ways to reconnect with yourself and rediscover your purpose? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your experiences. Your career won't define you, and that's okay. I spent over 40 years building my career as an engineer and manager, and for much of that time, I let my work define me. My identity was tied to what I did for a living, the title on my business card, and the successes I achieved. But now, 6 years into retirement, I can tell you this. My career feels like a distant memory. This was a tough pill to swallow at first. For years, I was proud of my professional accomplishments, and I assumed that others would always see me as a successful engineer. But the truth is, once you leave the workforce, your career starts to fade into the background. And you know what? That's perfectly okay. No one talks about my old job anymore. It's not what defines me, and it's not what people remember about me. What I've come to understand is that our careers are just one part of who we are. While work may have been a big part of my life for decades, it's not the most important part. Now I'm focused on being a good husband, a present father, a loving grandfather, a loyal friend, and a helpful mentor. These are the roles that will leave a lasting impact. If you're still working, I encourage you to do great work, but don't let your career define you. At the end of the day, your relationships, your character, and how you treated others will matter far more than your professional achievements. Being present is the greatest gift you can give. One of the most profound lessons I've learned is the importance of being truly present for the people you love. My Aunt Betty and Uncle John taught me this by example. They didn't just send a card for special occasions or make the occasional phone call. They showed up. They were present at graduations, birthdays, weddings, and even just for quiet afternoons on the porch. In today's world, it's easy to get distracted by technology, busy schedules, and the demands of daily life. We send texts, we make quick calls, we send birthday greetings on social media, but these aren't substitutes for real presence. I've learned that being there in person means everything. Whether it's attending family gatherings, showing up for a friend in need, or simply spending time with loved ones, those moments matter more than we realize. I've seen how much it means to my grandchildren when I come to their soccer games or school plays. I've felt the joy of reconnecting with an old friend over coffee, not through a screen, but face to face. Presence is a gift, and it's one of the most precious things we can offer. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. Sometimes, it's just sitting with someone in silence, enjoying the moment together. Don't underestimate the power of being present. It's something that stays with people long after you've left the room. Let go of the fear of embarrassment and embrace authenticity. One of the hardest lessons I've learned over the years is the importance of letting go of the fear of embarrassment. For a long time, I was afraid to speak up, afraid to confront difficult conversations, afraid of looking foolish. But as I've gotten older, I've realized that most of the things I was afraid of were trivial. Fear of embarrassment can hold us back in so many ways. It can prevent us from having those crucial conversations with family members, from apologizing when we've made a mistake, or from reaching out to someone we've lost touch with. But the truth is, once you push through that fear, good things happen. It might feel uncomfortable for a few moments, but the reward on the other side is worth it. I've had my share of awkward conversations, talking to a sibling after a falling out, addressing financial concerns with my wife, asking for forgiveness from an old friend. These moments weren't easy, but they were necessary. And in every case, the relationship grew stronger because we were able to have that honest, vulnerable conversation. If there's one piece of advice I could give, it's this: don't be afraid to ask for what you want or need. Don't worry about how others will react. The people who care about you will appreciate your honesty, and you'll feel lighter for having spoken your truth.